life insurance.
Yes, very important.
It's one of those things, you should probably think about,
Right.
but maybe you've been putting it off.
It can be a little bit daunting.
Yeah. And like, where do you even begin?
Yeah.
So thankfully,
Yes.
a lot of you have sent in this awesome resource called Life Insurance 101, Securing Your Family's Future.
It's a great place to start.
Yeah. So we're going to be looking at excerpts from that today
Okay.
to kind of give you the foundation, the basic knowledge.
The tools you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So by the end of this deep dive, you're going to be able to like confidently walk into, a conversation with a financial expert or an insurance agent
Absolutely.
and actually know like what to ask, what to look for.
And advocate for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think a good place to start is just like, what is life insurance?
Yeah. What is it? Basically, life insurance is a way to protect the people you love financially if something were to happen to you.
Okay.
It's a promise you make to pay a certain amount of money regularly, called a premium, to an insurance company. And in return, they promise to pay a lump sum, a death benefit to your chosen beneficiaries
Okay.
when you die.
So your beneficiaries are like the people you want to.
It could be your spouse,
Okay.
your kids, your parents, a charity even.
Gotcha.
And that death benefit can be used to cover all sorts of things like funeral expenses, daily living costs, paying off debts, or even just leaving a legacy for your loved ones.
So essentially, it's like setting up a safety net
It is a safety net,
for
exactly.
your family, just in case, the worst were to happen.
Exactly. You hope you never need it, but it's there to catch them if you do.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right.
So, okay, we've kind of got the basic definition down, but I know that there are different types of life insurance,
There are, yeah.
and this is where it starts to get kind of confusing.
It can be.
So can you break down like the main categories for us?
Sure. The two big ones that you'll hear about are term life insurance and permanent life insurance. Term life is kind of like renting an apartment.
Okay.
It provides coverage for a specific period of time, like 10, 20, or 30 years.
Got it.
And it's generally the more affordable option,
That's what
especially when you're younger and your needs are more short-term.
So it's good if you're like, maybe you just started a family, you have a mortgage.
Exactly. You need coverage for a set period of time.
You need that safety net
Right.
because
Yeah.
you don't necessarily need it forever.
Right.
Gotcha.
Now, permanent life insurance is more like owning a house.
Okay.
It offers lifelong coverage and often has an investment component that can build cash value over time.
Oh, and interesting.
So it can be a bit more expensive, but it offers that long-term protection and the potential to grow your money.
So it's kind of like a 2-for-1 where you're getting the safety net and you're building some wealth potentially.
That's the idea.
Okay, that's helpful.
Good.
So within permanent life though, are there like subcategories too, or is that kind of it?
There are a couple of different flavors of permanent life insurance that you might come across.
Okay.
The most common are whole life insurance and universal life insurance.
Right.
Whole life is like that traditional sturdy house we were talking about.
Right.
It has fixed premiums and guaranteed cash value growth.
So it's very predictable.
Very predictable, yes.
Gotcha.
Universal life, on the other hand, is more like a customizable house.
Okay.
It offers more flexibility. You can adjust your premium payments
Okay.
and even the death benefit amount over time.
So if like your circumstances change, you
Exactly.
can kind of tweak it.
Precisely.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Good.
So I'm curious, and maybe this is addressed in Life Insurance 101, but I've always heard that you don't need life insurance if you're young and single.
Right.
Like, is there any truth to that?
Yeah, it's a common misconception.
Okay.
While it's true that your needs might be different when you're young and single, it doesn't mean life insurance is completely off the table.
Okay.
There are still some good reasons to consider it early on.
Like what?
Well, for one, premiums are generally much lower when you're younger and healthier.
Okay.
So locking in a policy now can save you money in the long run.
That makes sense.
Plus, you never know what life will throw your way.
That's true.
Even if you don't have dependents right now, you might in the future.
Yeah.
And if you wait to get coverage, it could be more expensive or even difficult to qualify for if your health changes.
Interesting. So it's kind of like getting ahead of the game.
It's a bit like that, yeah.
Okay. So let's say, someone is listening and they're thinking, all right, life insurance is probably something I should look into. Like, how do they know, like, how much life insurance to get?
That's a great question, and that's where things can get a little bit more complex. There's no one-size-fits-all answer, but a good place to start is to think about your financial obligations and your goals.
Okay.
So, do you have a mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have other debts?
Okay.
Do you have children who will need financial support for their education?
Mm-hmm.
All of these factors will play into how much coverage you need.
Okay.
A financial advisor can help you run the numbers and figure out what makes sense for your specific situation.
So it's not just about like income replacement. Like if something were to happen to you,
Right.
your family would need X amount of money to replace your income.
It's more than that.
It's also about like future planning and all the other stuff you just mentioned.
It's about making sure your loved ones are taken care of and can achieve their goals, even if you're not there.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right.
Okay, so you mentioned a financial advisor can help, but are there any other resources or tools that, people can use to kind of get a better handle on this?
Absolutely. There are lots of online calculators and resources
Oh,
that can help you estimate your life insurance needs.
okay.
You can also talk to different insurance companies and get quotes to compare different policies and premiums.
Oh, so you don't have to like just go with the first one you find?
Definitely not.
Okay,
It's important to shop around and find a policy that fits your budget and your needs.
that makes a lot of sense.
And don't be afraid to ask questions. If
Yeah.
you don't understand something or something seems too good to be true,
Yeah.
ask for clarification.
Trust your gut.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to something as important as life insurance.
Yeah, I love that.
Good.
So I think we've covered a lot of ground here today.
Yep, we have.
We've talked about the basics of life insurance,
Yeah.
different types,
Mm.
why you might need it, some things to consider.
Right.
But this is just the beginning.
It is, yeah.
There's so much more to learn.
Right.
And I think this book, Life Insurance 101, is a really great place to start.
It is a great resource.
So I encourage all of our listeners, pick up a copy,
Yes.
dig in, do your research, and, most importantly, don't be afraid to reach out to those experts,
Yes.
those financial advisors, those insurance agents who can help you put together a plan that works for you.
Absolutely. They're there to help.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into life insurance.
My pleasure.
And to all of our listeners, we'll see you next time
See you next time.
for another insightful exploration.
Bye-bye.